So I talked to some of the guys. Most of the guys wanted me to teach from the bottom position. I believe most of you have seen the move from the top position, so this is perhaps more interesting as well. So let's go from kind of like a kneel position here. I'm doing like a knee shield, right? And just quick about the frames. Obviously, I'm using my hands in front of me and my leg here to create and manage the distance, right? Now, what you're gonna see most of the time, I'm looking for an underhook here. And it's not just any ordinary underhook, because a lot of the times I want his arm bent over my forearm, right? Because this is what creates this little hook or chain here where it's harder for him to break it. If his arm is completely straight, especially nogi, you're just gonna pull the arm out. Of course, I do have some reverse armbar a lot of the times when his hand slides up to my shoulder, but this is what's gonna give me Kimura trap and so on, right? So I get this hook, and at the same time, I'm looking to push his head away and bring my knee over his shoulder here, okay? So once I create this elevated knee, I can now bring it on top of his shoulder to push him down towards the floor, right? So once I've made him fall down forward, my heel is cleared. What's so funny, man? So now I bring my heel to his hip here, okay? Very important, a lot of guys will bring their heel or their foot inside. If you're meeting some bigger guys, this can be problematic as they still can kind of come closer to you. Whereas if I can keep this heel on his hip here, now if Max tries to move forward, you guys see how I can just kind of maintain that distance between me and him. And this will also help me keep his posture low, right? So once we're here, my arm goes over and I switch for a Kimura grip, right? Obviously, if you have the Kimura, why wouldn't you just do it, right? If you have the opportunity, you just go for this. But all the guys, especially high level, they're gonna be pulling this arm in and defending this position, which is fine. And that's when the fun starts, basically. So let's turn a little bit this way. So what you're gonna see here is a very simple variation is when I push this thigh back down. So to create the space, so I can bring this bottom leg out and I can set up the position. That's the first one, basic one, right? But if you want to get fancy, especially with the guys that are a little bit bigger, so I try to push their thigh away, but nothing happens, right? So now I'm going to go up on my shoulder and my forehead to create some space underneath me, okay? So I go up on my knee, that's in between his legs, and so I can bring this leg up towards my shoulder so that my foot is free and I can point it out to the same side that I am on, right? So now I stretch this leg through, and I catch his wrist under the crook of my knee, okay? Very common here is, like, don't point the heel towards his hips. That will be easy for him to kind of remove his hand. Obviously, we're still in good position, but I want to keep his wrist here, so I'm going to point my heel towards his head, right? Let's turn a little bit here. And something that I always like to say is, you want to keep this other leg religiously straight at all times, okay? So when Max tries to posture up, see how he's going to bring my whole body up with it. If I'm bent like this and he postures up, go up, go up.
No, wait.
No, okay, wait, okay, we'll give you some space. There you go. So now, watch how my hips are bent, and very naturally he's going to start trying to stack me or create this position much worse for me. But if I can maintain this straight leg and he tries to posture up, then he's going to bring my whole body with it, okay? And this is what's going to allow me to now force him to roll forward. And I'm stepping on the floor, bringing him down, and watch how he slides beside my shin. It doesn't land on top of my foot. And very common mistake is that we try to bring this bottom leg out, but in reality, just by keeping it behind his head, I'm making my job coming up much easier, right? So, beginning. We're here, right? Always looking for this fight where I'm cupping under. You could even use this hand here to slap his wrist down, and there we go, coming into this position. Now I switch for the Kimura. Gonna do the fancy one coming up on my shoulder, my forehead here. Bring the leg out, and there we are, okay? Another detail here is I use this hand to slow his roll down, as I want to be ahead of him in the roll, basically. So when we're rolling, now I can keep him here for a bit, so that I can be in front of him, push myself up, and come into this position. Now once we're here, it's very basic really. You want to tear up his shoulder. So you're going to step on the floor to create a bigger rotation. If you're down with your knee, you see, you can only bring your shoulder that high, right? But if you bring your foot up, you can really go further. Another thing that can happen is if his hand is on top of his belly, let's pull it there, and when I'm trying to rotate, his hand is stopping on his belly here. Well, what I do to remove or extract his arm from his body is using my hand, my free hand and my free leg to pull myself forward. So now once I'm moving forward, his hand is off his body and I can freely rotate to get the finish. Any questions, guys? Want to do this?
So when we're doing that finishing position, sometimes if I do it, I think sometimes people can lock their hands, you know, when you're going to finish it.
Yeah.
So what would you do if they manage to lock their hands?
So
a really strong grip.
Just lay down here.
Really try to hurt them as well, yeah.
So the common thing about if they're holding their hands here, you'll see that imagine this is the crook of my knee. You see that my crook of my knee is usually very on the mid of his forearm. So I need to bring it back to his wrist to gain as much momentum or leverage as possible. So very common here is that this happens. You guys see how his wrist is not in the crook of my knee anymore? Like, you guys see that? So what I need to do, I need to bring myself back, adjust. You see now it's in the crook of my knee again, and then I can do the same thing. I pull myself forward, and then you have.
Yeah, because that was always happening to me. That I would try and move the arm, and it would almost hurt me. Do you feel like I don't want to get pain in my ribs?
Yeah.
When I would do it, because I have a super strong grip.
But yeah, it's basically just adjusting back, coming down again. And the same adjustment, just to give you guys a little bit more here, is let's say I'm here on the bottom position and his wrist is like almost close to my crouch, not all the way to my to the crook of my knee. If I try to force it to roll in here, it's gonna be a tough fight, right? So it's better that I try to go back, adjust, catch his wrist, and then go forward again. You guys get it? Last little thing, if your posture is all the way up from this position, bring your knees in, really commit to like a deadlift here. So now, once he goes up, he go, posture, posture, posture. No, don't stand up, posture up. If you stand up like, yes. I step back, and we just roll backwards into the same position. Okay? 1, 2, go. Couple minutes. Sorry, guys. See you later. Nice. Just a quick circle here. Any quick questions before we move on? Quick questions. Obviously, this is it's not that simple move, but I like to think of it as it's a thing that you can set up for many scenarios. Wherever there's a Kimura, there's a Tarikoplata, usually. Let me use some more. Great. So just to give you guys a quick hint about it, it's like double under, I go here, hands, and you have the same position, right? Or could be you're on top, looking for the wrist, your leg goes over, and you go into the same position. So it's like really up into your imagination where you can set it up from. Even like in the gi, there comes a lot of other things that you can implement as well.
You set it up when you defend straight arm bars?
Yeah, sometimes, but I mean, most of the time I get the arm bars. But it's like, if you lay down. So, a lot of the times, if you're already here, obviously if you switch the arms like this, you have to switch back, and then you're looking to catch the wrist. And then you can start looking for this position. Bring yourself up, and then finish there. Well, it's like, why put more fat on top of the butter, you know? There's like, you already have a good position there. So a lot of the times you should work better on your arm bar basically. But it's option.
Do you have a good way of fishing out the arm if they go deep with the double unders, or do you generally just only go for it, manage to catch the elbow early?
Yeah, if they're too deep, it's gonna be hard. Like if they've lifted your hips up, then I mean it's too late basically. You have to be early to the party. in a sense, right? So if he goes under, double under, and he's already, yeah, now, man, there's only, you know, God can save you from here, basically. But you want to be in here before he closes that gap. So now if he tries to do the same thing, you see how only this kind of grip just makes it so much harder for him. And then I put my hand to really like enforce the grip, push his head, and we're in the position here too. Yeah, let's move on. Owen, where you at?
Hey man.
There you are. Owen here takes the show.
Go for that. So it's probably going to be absolutely nowhere near as technical as Tarik.
Oh man.
Kind of refinement. Yeah, so for me, a couple of things I do refinement, which